That's good. You look good.
You look
You
great.
look good. You know, that mock turtleneck thing. I don't know what it is. It's for you athlete types. Okay, so we are okay. Good. We're good here. Let's move that to here, and now we're gonna go live.
Let's do it.
Okay. Welcome, everybody, to a weekly edition, a very special weekly edition of the Not Your Average Investor Show. Today, we are combining the Not Your Average Investor community with the Fortune Builders Passive Income Club continuing education community. So welcome to you all that are here from Fortune Builders. Welcome to our usual community. And we are going to be talking about how to make a decision on an investment property during a particularly interesting period of deciding on whether or not to invest in real estate. Little teaser there for you. I'm your host, Pablo Gonzalez. With me, as always, a man that I affectionately like to call GC because he's got the genius concepts, knows how to generate cash flows, is a great co-host, and because his name is Greg Cohen. Say hello, Greg.
Hello, everybody. Fantastic to be with you today.
Oh, man. And, I don't know if the Fortune Builders community knows about this, but we have a little tradition that we like to start the show.
Oh, yeah, we do.
You know what it's called?
The roll call, baby.
We've got our MVP leading us off today.
Mr. Lee Bishop.
We got our leadoff hitter, usually batting first, batting second today.
John Henning.
We got the ringmaster.
Andrew Barnhill.
Drew Barnhill wishing a happy Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day to the veterans.
Happy
we got
Veterans
Laura
Day.
Colby from Washington State checking in. We got
Hey,
the KOB, King of the Beach.
Christopher Lee.
From Fernandina Beach. We got Leo Faraganan.
Dun, 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 dun,
Faraganan.
dun, 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 dun.
From the Bay Area. We got the mystery man and mystery lady today.
How about that? Denny Davies and his wonderful wife, Erica.
Good to have you all. Happy Veterans Day to you, Denny, and thank you for your service. Archibald Narty from Canada. That's a new name.
New name.
Welcome,
Welcome,
Archibald. Make yourself comfortable. HTTN.
I heard you figured this out. I was listening to the show.
And
Tehran?
And Tehran.
I think.
Yeah. All right. Well,
We love that you're here, and it has been keeping us up late at night that we didn't know what the acronym stood for, or the initials stood for.
the regular guy with extraordinary questions.
Mike Foster.
Mike Foster got himself a nickname finally.
Is that it? The regular guy?
That's what it is. Yeah, because he's got great questions, but he's a regular guy.
It's perfect.
He's a regular guy.
Perfect.
Mike Foster, current past star of the show.
Yeah.
Right? Was on last week. Our regulars, Gary and Rosalind Riley from Marietta, California.
We regard you.
Good to have you. Il Maestro,
John Williams.
the world famous composer from Long Island, New York. Good to have you. Sir Ron Jennings is in the house.
All right.
Just contracted 3 JWB properties last night. Let's go.
Congratulations. That's
That's
awesome.
Sarah.
High five.
Good to have you in. And all right, that was a good roll call today. GC, we got the Fortune Builders Passive Income Club here, the faithful here. We're gonna first of all welcome, right? Like many of our community members came from Fortune Builders,
Right.
So there's a lot of cross-pollination here. Greg and his team have built a company over the last 20 years that came from Fortune Builders. You want to give just a quick backstory there and why we get to do the ongoing education for everybody?
100%. You know, we talk about, I share what has been the greatest investments that I've ever made as an investor. Has been investing in my education and my relationships. And that all started with my relationships and my education that came from Fortune Builders. I was the very first Fortune Builder student, even before there was a Fortune Builders, way back in the day. Through luck, happenstance, destiny, whatever you want to call it, I had the opportunity to meet Than Merrill, Paul Asasian, and the entire team when they were building their company. And this was about 20 years ago now. And I saw them up on stage. They were a testimonial for another successful investor who was speaking. And I just saw something special in those guys. And I said, hey, I want to be just like you from a real estate perspective. I was like, can you teach me? And they said yes. And so from that moment 20 years ago, the idea of Fortune Builders came, and myself and my business partners became the guinea pigs for Fortune Builders. And it has just been this relationship that has stood the test of time. Together, we've helped thousands of Fortune Builders students and JWB clients invest in rental properties here in Jacksonville. We've generated over $300 million in profits together. And that's all from that original relationship that we built with the Fortune Builders community. And I couldn't be more thankful for Than, Paul Shively, Conrad, everybody over at the Fortune Builders team. And now we get the opportunity to educate. And so this continuing education series, we're so delighted that you all are here and enjoying our little neck of the internet here, which is the Not Your Average Investor Show. This is, obviously a big part of why you guys invest with the Passive Income Club, is to be able to have access to education like this. So we're excited that you're here taking a sneak peek.
Yeah, and one of the advantages is the idea that, we do this show every week at this time. We have our community that is here, a lot of fortune builders, people like the MVP Lee Bishop is a fortune builders guy. Justine Herrera, who's checked in, she's a fortune builders client and JWB client as well, right? So you have access to folks that you can ask questions to and build a community out. 20 years. That's a pretty long partnership, GC. Like I wanted to point that out, right?
Yeah.
Like a 20-year partnership between two businesses is extraordinary. It's an extraordinary partnership between two humans, let alone two full organizations.
Right.
And you guys have been doing this. That being said, we are here talking about a particular moment in time that's happening right now, right? Over 20 years, you've lived out a cycle or two out here, right? You've seen a couple of things. And before the show, you were telling me that we've always kind of talked about this world of real estate investing. And with the world of real estate has the retail world and it has the investor world.
Right.
And nary the two shall meet. No, I'm just kidding. So they have a little bit of overlap, but not a lot. But you're saying that right now we're in a particular moment where a couple of forces are overlapping from both sides that makes a decision in investing today extra attractive.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a special moment in time. I think we're trying to help people understand how you go from what you're hearing in the mainstream media and people saying, oh, interest rates are so high right now. How do we go from that to understanding what is the market anomaly that I could take advantage of right now as an investor? And so thought we would shed some light on that. Yeah. When we're talking about the retail market or the investor market, that is really driven by sales, right? Home builders and how they are selling really drives what happens when it comes to things like incentives that are offered. And so if you could construct the ideal time that builders would be feeling pain, it would be an environment where there's been elevated interest rates for a very long period of time, and that they still have not seen their home sales tick up because home sales have been depressed because of those elevated interest rates. And if you could construct that time, you would also say, well, going into the winter months would be the time that builders are likely to experience the most pain from those low home sales. And that's kind of where we are right now. So we've had this elevated interest rate environment for so long. Now, the cool thing is that interest rates have started to come down. Interest rates have come down about 0.5% over the last few months now, which is cool to think about. But builders still haven't experienced the joy of what happens on the other side of lower interest rates because those higher home sales haven't happened. So long story short, builders are feeling the pain when it comes to low sales. It's also the time of the year that in the retail world, things tend to slow down as well. And so this, for us as investors, is an opportunity, and we're starting to see that in terms of very high incentive dollars. But what I want to share with everybody is what's on the other side of winter? What's on the other side of these low interest rates as they continue to come lower and lower, or at least stay here longer and longer? You're going to see builder sales start to tick back up. Builder sales are definitely going to come up when it comes to spring. We know that happens every year because of the retail market. But we're going to have probably 3 months, maybe 4 months, maybe 6 months of these lower interest rates, and they might even be lower by that time. So there is a direct correlation between incentive dollars that builders are offering and low interest rates. And if you can sprinkle in pain from low sales, you're going to see higher incentives. And that's kind of where we are right now. So I wanted to shed that light because I think that this helps people change from that narrative of like, oh no, interest rates are high, this isn't a good time to buy, to like, no, we already know interest rates are low enough to get positive cash flow. This is the time where I can really maximize my incentive dollars.
Got it. So if I've learned anything from you, is kind of like there's these two worlds, right? There's the retail home buying world, right? And then there's the investor home buying world. The retail home buying world is driven by people making an emotional decision about where they're going to live and raise their kids. And that is driven by like their income and what they can afford and, what their partner wants in life and how they envision themselves. And they move when it fits their lifestyle, right? Because it's a lifestyle decision. In the retail world, this idea of high interest rates with high prices has been around for a really, really long time. And folks that own their homes right now, that own with a really, that had a mortgage that they got pre-2022, have a really low mortgage. So they're not really selling their homes that exist. A lot of the homes that are being bought are being brought forth by builders, right? So they make up a big part of the market who, this is what they do. Those sales have been suppressed for a while. Right. They're moving into what their salespeople know to be their slower months, right? Normally that doesn't affect investors because investors live in this other world, right? They live in their world where they make these financial decisions, right? Like they look at the house as like a mini business. And if the rent is going to exceed the mortgage payment and the costs, then they're thinking, this is a good investment. Let me go find a good team. Is this a good market? Does it fit all my priorities, right? But when it comes to buying the widget, they're looking at those dynamics. And those dynamics have been also suppressed for a while because of high interest rate, high prices. Now, those interest rates have just started to come down, and we've seen the statistics around increased investor activity based on those things starting to come down. But they haven't come down so much that it's making up for these like overall sales. And now those two things are coming together in a moment where the incentives that builders are putting out in the market on the retail side are also making the builders on the investment side kind of like keep up with those investments in order to keep up. And on the other side of it is the season where all that is going to go away starting early next year. So it's just like moment to buy where you can take advantage of favorable conditions upcoming and incentive dollars being put in your pocket today. How'd I do?
I think you did a pretty good job.
Yeah,
I think, well, I'm going to condense it a little bit. I'm going to take a page out of your book and I'm just going to condense it.
Oh, condense away, sir.
We have talked a lot about why incentives have been here for really the first time in history as far as selling turnkey properties. Incentives have been here in full force. It's because interest rates have been so high, right? As interest rates come down, you're going to see incentive dollars go away. Not only are interest rates coming down, we just haven't felt the full effect of it, but it's also seasonality. So now you've got low interest rates coming down and you're going to go into the selling season next year, in the beginning of next year. This is your time for maximum incentives is the point. So how did I do?
Yeah, condensing into maximum incentives. And maximum incentives matter because at the end of the day, as investors, we know that we date the rate and marry the asset. Right. So anything that we can do to like bring in fast forward a whole bunch of cash flow in our pocket before we go and change the rate and change those things that we can affect, right? Like that really, really helps, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Investors who buy 3, 6, 9 months from now are probably going to get the same types of cash flows and the same types of return on investment. They just won't have that huge cash infusion from incentives.
Yep, got it. Okay. So given that this is a special time to buy, we're now in this like Venn diagram of this moment. Should we go through how one would pick a property, GC?
That's what we titled the show.
Where do we start, my friend?
Well, so now we talked about the idea of buying and the Venn diagram and why it's a special moment in time. Now let's put ourselves in the shoes of how do we actually pick the right property? And that can be overwhelming for investors. What I think is really important is focusing on the most important questions to ask yourself and the most important criteria in order to make a decision, and then having tools to be able to take and separate all the noise out there so that you can sit down, confidently make a decision on the right asset. So JWB has these tools. We're going to share them with you. And I think let's go through a little bit of a narrative or a story and put ourselves in the shoes of a new investor who is trying to make a decision to buy their very first rental property. And I think we go through it. We'll use the tools that we have. We'll talk through the decisions about how we can do this. And I think what we'll do is we'll condense this very scary proposition of how do I buy my first rental property and this very time-consuming proposition of how do I buy my first rental property. And we'll be able in the span of maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes, go through this exercise. And it's something that you all can replicate for yourself. So that's the theme of the show today. How do we separate the noise? How do we focus on what's important? How do we use a tool to help us get there so that you can make a confident decision in, 15 minutes or so?
I got 15 minutes, buddy.
All
Let's
right,
do this. All right.
let's do
So
it.
should we show your super tool selector thing?
Let's do it.
All right. So little backstory here. Greg, when he wanted to grow up as a child, I think he wanted to be a professional um, basketball player, football player,
Nah,
baseball. No, what was it, GC?
I wanted to win the Excel Olympics.
The Excel Olympics.
No.
And that's why he put this sheet together, folks. This is Excel Olympics level stuff. All right, talk me through this.
So
All right, I'll talk through this,
go
right?
for it.
So, in this sheet, there is a selection of current JWB inventory here, right? All these properties are actual properties that JWB, as a turnkey provider, already owns. They're already cash flowing assets. They have it for sale that anybody can buy it and get positive cash flow year one, right? When you are looking at a property, there is three kinds of data. There is property attributes, right? The address, the zip code, the purchase price, these kinds of things. And then there is the year built, the square footage. That's never going to change, right? Then there are today numbers, which is year one rent, the taxes today, the property insurance and cost. And then there is tomorrow numbers, right? These like expectations, these assumptions of how it's going to perform in the future. So this has all three of those all in one, plus the listings of the different properties that you can go see and how to do that.
Great.
Okay.
Well
Cool.
done.
All right. Then take us through this. How do we use this thing?
Yeah, just think about this being the most important data that you need to know. So hopefully you have access to this data, or if you're thinking about working with a company, they absolutely should have access to this data. Or if it's a real estate agent that's helping you, whatever mode you get to, you need to know these things. So just like we talked about today information, tomorrow information, right? We need to know things like, what are the property taxes going to be? What are my maintenance costs going to be? And then tomorrow information is things like, what should I expect this asset to grow as far as rent price appreciation or home price appreciation? You got to have all that data. So that's what that first tab shows us. What are you doing here?
I'm just adjusting it so we can show it a little
Look
bit
at
easier.
you. Look at
So
you.
first tab shows us all that stuff. Yeah, go ahead.
There we go. So don't get caught up in the numbers here. What we're going to do is we're going to take all this information, then we're going to have a simple way to analyze it together, which is the next sheet. So if you want to go on over to the next sheet there,
Okay,
Vanna.
next sheet, sir.
And we'll start at the top there if we want to kind of zoom in here. At the top, we're going to think big picture about what we're trying to create here for a client, right? We're trying to build a portfolio. Oh, look at you. You're just totally moving cells around there, Vanna. There you go. All right. So what we're trying to do is to help people, that we're investing in real estate.
Say, this is harder than it looks. So
You're doing well. You're doing so good. You're doing so good. Sometimes we get trapped, into this thinking of like, we know that we're investing in real estate, but it's an asset. It's like any other investment that we have. We're trying to take a certain pile of money and we're trying to grow it, right? So this top section helps us understand that, right? Top left is the client information here.
Bob Smith, rare name.
How about Bob Smith?
Yeah, how about
it took me a while to think of that one.
Heard that's the Pablo Gonzalez of Anglo-Saxon.
There you go. And then right below that section there, we've got our real estate portfolio investment summary. Now, this is driven by us showing all 15 properties on the sheet here. We're not going to be talking about buying 15 properties at once, but this helps us just kind of illustrate what we are attempting to do. We're going to look at our total initial investment. We're going to see what the portfolio returns are so that we understand how much this asset is going to do for us over the next 10 years, which is what this horizon is. As we understand, if Bob Smith was to buy all 15 properties at once, his money would be working for him at a clip of an 11.5% rate of return each and every year. And no matter how much money you put into something, if it can return 11.5% year over year over year, you are doing some things. You're cooking with gas.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
So,
yep.
And then if we go to the right-hand side, top right, this is where we understand not just the big picture, how much are we growing the money? How did we get there? And there's 5 profit centers in rental property investing, and they all have a very important job to do. But many people don't understand what profit center is making them the most money. So it's important that we break it out and we understand how do we construct a portfolio that can drive the biggest profit pie for us after our 10-year hold. So
I give the 5 profit centers.
You do such a great job there. Go for it.
I assume that our community knows this. I assume that a lot of folks in Fortune Builders know that, but my job here on the show is to be the noble fool, right? So I like to give the stuff that you already know and you're asking for a friend, right? So the 5 profit centers are net rental income, right? Expenses, cash flow minus expenses, right? Revenue minus expenses.
Mm-hmm.
You want that to be positive. Tax savings, right? How you can keep more of that net rental income in your pocket. Principal pay down, the idea that your tenant over time pays down your loan, and that is a profit to you as well. Home price appreciation, which is the biggest part of the pie every single time, which is how much the home goes up in value. That gets accelerated when you have debt and you have leverage and all that good stuff. And then there is inflation hedging, inflation profiting, the idea that your asset keeps up with inflation over time, regardless of what the Fed wants to do with the money supply and all those different things because of the cost of replacement, and the idea that if you are borrowing today's dollars to pay for tomorrow's expenses, everybody wishes that they could been doing that when a cheeseburger used to cost a nickel. If you were still paying a nickel for it today, you'd be doing pretty well on your meal expenses, right?
100%.
Okay.
Great job.
Okay, cool. So these are the 5 profit centers.
Yeah.
And then do we go straight into picking properties, GC, or how does one actually think about what properties to pick?
Well, you want to have some decision-making criteria.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's really 3 decision-making criteria that you want when you buy a rental property. Number 1, you want to look for the highest return on investment first. We are here to make our money grow. The way that we measure that is the rate of return. The best rate of return to follow is called the internal rate of return. That helps us analyze a little business, which is what a rental property is. And then a little business has money that comes in different amounts over different years. And so, and we have many shows and trainings on internal rate of return, but ultimately that's how we measure our return on investment. So number 1, highest rate of return. The second criteria is that we need it to be positive cash flow in both the first year and over the length of our hold period. We're going to choose a 10-year hold here. So we need it to be positive cash flow as soon as we buy it, and we need it to be positive cash flow over the full 10 years. That's the second criteria. And then the third criteria is that it needs to fit within the budget. So we're going to understand what the what the client's budget is. We're going to make sure we have a portfolio that fits right inside.
Got it. And if you look at this sheet on the same tab that we were just at, you can see these properties. There's a rate of return. There is the initial investment you need to get into each one of them. And then you have here the cash flow, right? The net rental income. Just a little magic I was doing because
Gosh, you're so good.
I'm trying to go for my own thing. All right.
There you go. Go a little bit to the left though, because then we also show the monthly cash flow right off the bat too. So we're able to see both the cash flow year 1, which is column L, and then year 2 is the cash flow over the full horizon, the full 10-year hold.
Got it. So I got all these properties in front of me. GC, how do I even start here?
Well, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to follow that criteria. We're going to look for the highest rate of return properties. But before we do that though, we're going to take a look and see what we see on the 10-year hold cash flow. Okay. Because what we're looking at is these properties are assumed that we're putting 25% down. But the reason why we don't start with budget first when it comes to rental properties is because the budget might be affected based on if we can put less down and still be positively cash flowing. So when we look at column U and we look at the net rental income or the cash flow over the full 10 years, if we start to see really high numbers like 10,000, 30,000, some types of those numbers, we're going to do an extra step here and see if it's possible for us to get positive cash flow by only putting 20% down.
Got it.
And this is what your financial engineering partner can do with you, whether that's JWB, whether that's a real estate agent or another turnkey company, or whether that's yourself. We need to be constantly thinking of ourselves as a financial engineer. And just because we see high cash flow over here, we need to understand the relationship between cash flow and returns. If we have a lot of cash flow, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But if that means that, what that means to me is that we might be able to put less money down, reduce our cash flow, and actually increase our return on investment. So there's a little bit of a shift there. It's not all about maximizing cash flow. There's a relationship, an inverse relationship between cash flow and return on investment many times.
Yeah. GC, before we go into this 201 stuff, right? Like I feel like I've been, Lee just complimented me that I'm rocking this like screen share in private here, right? So if I'm looking at this for the first time, it seems overwhelming, but I can tell that JWB has a system to do this, and I just want JWB to do it for me, right? I'm a part of Fortune Builders. Fortune Builders, one of the big reasons I joined Fortune Builders is for them to introduce me to partners that can do this kind of thing for me, and I want this kind of analysis done for myself. What should I do?
You should call JWB. But this is the type of thing that we do for every client coming into investing in rental properties, especially with JWB. We're going to sit down, we're going to go over your goals, and we're going to go through this exact same process with you. We're going to align your goals with the resources that you have and then the assets that we can put in your portfolio. So this is showing you how the sausage is made. If you want it done for you, get on the phone with JWB and we'll be able to build this customized plan for you.
Got it. And Joanna just dropped the information in the text. You can call us at 904-677-6777. You can text right now and someone will text back to you at 904-293-0341. Or if you want to just schedule an appointment, go to chatwithjwb.com. A little calendar pops up. You can just pick your appointment, show up to it. You're good. All right, let's get back into this, GC.
All right, love it.
So we have these net rental incomes. Are we going to go back now and then drop the interest rates here?
That's what we're going to do.
Okay, interest rates, the down payments.
Yep.
Oh, do I need to remember which ones are the properties first? Of course. No?
No, because it's not necessary to pick and choose the properties now.
Oh, am I going to do all of them then?
Yeah, we're gonna change them all from 25% down to 20% down.
Got it. So on this sheet, tab 1, we go back to 20%. Do this. Look at that. It just worked out. And now when we come back to this screen, now some of these rental cash flows are negative, but there is 3, 4 of them, 5 of them that are positive.
No, there's one more step. We got to go back to the portfolio generator. So what many people don't understand is that there's a little bit more of an interest rate that you have to pay for 20% down versus 25% down. So again, this is where that, in the behind the scenes, JWB or whoever you're working with needs to understand this. And when we're constructing the right asset for you, it also needs to be the right type of financing. We need to take these things into account. So let's go back to the portfolio generator.
Okay.
And instead of those being 4.88%, I want you to write 5.125. And then bring it all the way down there. So if we're going to put 20% down, there's actually going to be a slight increase to those interest rates. By the way, we just kind of sped over the interest rate. 4.88% is what you get if you have 25% down, by the way.
Not what you're hearing on the news, man.
No, you get under 5% rates if you're putting 25% down. Now, if you're going to use 20% down, it still might make sense, but we got to account for that. It's going to be, call it about a 1/4 point bump.
Got it.
Is a rough,
rough. So now we have only one that is cash flow positive.
There we go. So we do have one that's cash flow positive. That's a really good sign. We're going to keep that one at cash flow positive. That's that one. It's unique to be able to put 20% today. And still be cash flow positive in a growth market like Jacksonville. So I just want people to not get super scared when you see a negative cash flow number like that, or if you see a really large positive cash flow number. That's where your financial engineering comes into play. And it doesn't mean that when you see a really high cash flow number, that we're going to construct the portfolio with that really, really high cash flow number. We might look at that and say, oh no, let's put less down, take a little bit of cash flow off the table, but get a higher rate of return. So in this case, there's only one property that's able to do it 20% down. The rest of them we're going to put at 25% and make sure that we keep that positive cash flow both in year 1 and year 10.
Got it. So I'm going to remember 335 Fifth Avenue.
Yep.
Right? That's this guy right here, or lady. The rest of these I'm going to put at 25%.
Yep. Making it harder for you on this one, huh?
Dude, you are not taking it easy on me today, buddy. Here we go. 25% here. And then I assume I have to also change the interest rates for the other ones too, right?
That's right.
What was the old interest rate? Do you remember?
4.88.
4.88. So that is 4.88. I promise everybody that this is not my first time. Took me what, like 3 or 4 times to start being able to do this without you doing it?
I know. It was so great when you said that you could take this over, by the way. It is not easy to do on national television like we are right now.
You know what they say. It's you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. And just being around you has made me better at Excel.
I love it.
All right, cool. All right, so now we got that. And now we get to see, again, monthly cash flows, estimated rates of returns, and then net rental incomes over here on the right. Now, all of these are positive except for one.
There we go. So now we can go back to those 3 criteria. What was number 1?
Being positive cash flow?
No.
Rate of return.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're going to focus on that one first.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to use column O. Okay. Again, this is what we're doing behind the scenes if we're making property recommendations. If you are analyzing properties, you got to get all this information and then start with highest returns first. Okay. So let's go with the 4 highest properties in terms of rate of return.
I think it's these 11.9s, right?
Yep.
So 8106 Wyoming.
Yep.
1149 28th Street. 335, the one with the 20% down.
Yep.
And that's 3 of them, right?
Yep.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's
okay,
it.
cool. So now I'm gonna go back here, take these off and select 335, right?
Yep,
That's
exactly.
one of them. Wyoming.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And then what was the other one?
1149 28th Street.
1486 29th Street. I was way off. Here we go. 3.
Samsonite.
Samsonite. All right. So now we have selected these. These now carry over to this fancy dandy sheet that the Excel Olympian over here put together. And what we see is we've got net rental income over here, all positive, total investment. What am I supposed to do here, G-Sam?
Well, so the first thing is we forgot to set the criteria of what the person has as far as resources to spend on their investment property. I chose $75,000 for this example. So $75,000 is what we're walking into. Now we're going to go back to those 3 criteria.
Here?
I just forgot to update it there.
Okay, so here's $300,000.
Yeah, but that's easy to change.
Okay, cool.
You just change that to 75,000 and then I look like I know what I'm talking about.
Right now?
Yeah, go for it. It doesn't affect anything else. So we know that.
Okay.
But what we've done is we started with highest returns first. Okay. Then we're going to go and make sure that we have positive cash flow in year 1, right off the bat, positive monthly cash flow. And we're going to make sure that we have positive monthly cash flow over the full 10 years. We have that, right? All of these properties, all of JWB properties have positive monthly cash flow year 1 and over the 10 years. However, it can adjust based on how much we're putting down. So we've found that the lowest amount that we can put down and still be positively cash flowing is different on each property. We can put 20% down for 5th Avenue. We can put 25% down for Wyoming and 28th Street. But either way, we're going to wind up with significant positive cash flow, both year 1 monthly and then over the 10-year hold. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to take into account how much money does somebody have to spend? The client has $75,000. So if we use all 3 of those criteria, the rate of return, the same, very high. If we can be anywhere around 10, 11%, that's what the market's delivering right now in a growth market like Jacksonville. So these are near 12%, and we're super excited about that. We're positive cash flow in year 1. We know that from column L, right? The monthly cash flow, and there we go. Yep. And we know that over the full 10 years, it's not like we're just coming out of the gate strong with cash flow, but it's dipping. We know over the full 10 years that we're cash flow positive as well. And then the last criteria is the amount of funds that the client has. That's column T right there. Well, guess what? That first property, that's I believe that's a duplex or a quad. I can't remember which one that is, but that's one of our more expensive assets because it has way more rental income that comes in. It's a great asset. The client just doesn't have that much money. Yep. Same thing can be said for the house on Wyoming. That's a single family rental property. You know, that total out of pocket is $87,000. So listen, the client just doesn't have the funds for that. But guess what? This one on 28th Street is the right asset for that client because it hits all 3 of those criteria. The last one being the right amount to fit within the budget.
Love it. So is this the one was that 335? That was the 20% down one, right?
It was.
So then we maximized we minimized the amount that we would have to put down and everything still didn't fit the final criteria, which is it in my budget? But then these other ones that are at this like same return, they're a little bit closer. So now if I'm a client, I'm thinking, all right, do I want to stretch a little bit and reach for this one? Or do I stick to my budget, have an extra 10K here on the side? Is there anything extra I can do with this 10K GC?
Well, the first thing that I always want clients to do is to prepare for a rainy day. So if there is whichever property we go with, I want to make sure that you have somewhere around $5,000 to maybe $15,000 in a rainy day fund for your real estate portfolio. I don't think you need more than $15,000 because these are positively cash flowing. So if you have 5 properties, $15,000 is okay.
Oh, so it's not 15 per property.
It's not 15
overall if I've got 5 properties, 10 properties.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Because now, I mean, you're buying these because these are paying you every single month. So in theory, over time, you're not going to dip into that reserve account. However, it is going to go up and down because there are things that happen. A resident moves out or a maintenance expense comes. So you will dip into it momentarily. Over time, it will grow, though, because these are cash flow positive assets. On an individual asset basis, I always recommend you treat this just like you're supposed to treat your personal expenses or a business that is building reserves as well. 3 to 6 months of expenses is kind of that time-tested, age-old way to think about how much money to set aside for a rainy day. And rental properties, especially for an asset in Jacksonville, it comes out to about $5,000.
Okay.
So every time you buy a property, for the first 3, put $5,000 aside, put in, you can put it with JWB. We can have it as your escrow. You can keep it in a separate bank account. Just do that because it's going to allow you to stay in the game long enough. And so you do that for your first 3 properties, build up to 15, and then you typically have enough maintenance escrow. Or if you'd like to have more than that, there's certainly whatever feels comfortable for you. I'm kind of sharing what I would say as a minimum.
Cool. Sounds good. So then in this case, I would just pocket that extra 9K and be like, oh, this adds to my rainy day fund. Maybe I put it in an escrow. Maybe I just have it there. Maybe I make another investment with it.
Yeah, absolutely. If this is your first portfolio, first asset, and you're going to be buying more and more and more, which most clients do, I would say put that into your escrow. Save that there, right? And then, as you are building up more and more of these assets, maybe you buy more before the incentives go away. Then you can then pocket that money or invest it elsewhere.
Sounds good. All right. Then I guess we figured it out, right? We're going with 1149 28th Street. It took us all of 15 minutes to figure this thing out.
Right?
With some storytelling and some pizzazz. I would imagine that if you're doing this on the phone with JWB, it's even simpler. Does it take longer? Are you asking different questions?
Well, what I showed you is behind the scenes, and this is when clients are at the stage where property selection happens. However, that is not the first thing that happens when you get on the phone with JWB. We care about relationships here. The relationships that we have with many of the folks who are active in the chat now have been relationships for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And so, you have to truly understand how can you provide value and service for the person on the other side. And so we do that through a number of phone conversations right off the bat. So if this is your first time chatting with JWB, our first couple of phone calls, we're not going to talk about property selection. We're going to be learning about you, helping to share a little bit about how we operate behind the walls here and making sure it's a good fit. When we start to get into what I shared with you today, it's usually around the 3rd or 4th phone call. Because at that point, now we know enough about you and your resources and your goals to put the plan together. And that's where the property recommendations come into play. And everything I showed you there, we did a little wheeling and dealing so everybody can see kind of how the sausage is made. When you're talking with JWB, we're generally doing that behind the scenes. We've prepared it, so that we can walk into that phone call and say, hey, here's these 3 properties that we're recommending for you. Here's why we chose them. And to give you the transparency and the insight to say, oh, well, tell me why you chose that one over a different one. We'll kind of walk through an abridged version of what I just did with you here, but it leaves the client just feeling like you have confidence as to how the decisions are made, and you cut through the noise. You took something that takes people years to, all in all, 3 or 4 phone conversations and probably 15 minutes of property selection.
Love it. Sounds easy enough. And I say all that having been a client myself.
you know a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so to be fair, you didn't have this sheet when I became a client, right?
That's right.
2021 through 2022. So I think like this level of like oversight and being able to like punch at numbers, and I think it would have really helped me in kind of like talking to my wife about why we're picking one versus the other. For me, it just came a lot from like intuition of just like, yeah, I just kind of trusted the process, but this level of like oversight and seeing it adds like a whole new level of like really, really understanding and like sense of control that I think is really cool.
Talk about sense of control. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why you get the gold medal in the Excel Olympics. But
yes.
Yeah. Good job. So we got a question here from somebody that's submitting this anonymously. Says, Greg, I'm likely to have a real estate property sale by June 2026, which would free up $600K of cash. Congratulations, sir or madam. Can I use a 1031 into a portfolio of JWB sourced and managed properties?
Absolutely.
Do we want to do this right now? Put 600K up there on this sheet and run that same exercise, GC?
Yeah, sure.
You
Let's
ready
do
to go, bro?
Oh, let's go.
Let's
do
see
it.
what that would look like. Yeah. All right. Cool.
People
Don't say
are gonna-
don't say I don't come up with good ideas.
I
first of all.
love it. I love
This is
it.
a great question. All right, cool. So I'm going to share this sheet here. So why don't you explain what a 1031 is and why you can do it, and then I can.
Yes, absolutely. A 1031 is one of the best ways to take advantage of all of the amazing tax advantages that rental property investing offers. A 1031 is a way for you to sell an asset, let's call it a really a high price property, or call it a property that appreciated a ton in California. You owned it for 10 years, 15 years, what have you. You have a ton of equity in that asset, but it's not producing any cash flow for you. So you can sell that asset. And then what you're allowed to do is to buy 3, 4, 6, however many assets you want that add up to a higher sales price overall. But you can take an asset that's in California that's not producing any income for you each month, and then create 3 or 4 or 6 assets in Jacksonville that now are on investment for you. And the best thing about a 1031 exchange is you don't have to pay taxes at the time of the sale. So you might be able to buy a whole additional property because you don't have to pay the taxes at the time of the sale. You can roll that into more assets, ultimately growing your wealth more and more. The problems with a 1031 exchange are typically logistics, because it's hard for a real estate agent or a seller out there to have 3, 4, 6, 8 properties available for you to choose from, because you only have 45 days to identify the properties from the time that you sold it, and you only have 180 days to close on the properties. So it's logistics usually hold people back, but that's where a turnkey company can be your best friend. Because as you see here, JWB has inventory that's available today. We are constantly building new inventory for our clients. And so there has never been a time when somebody came to us and said, I have this many assets I'd like to buy because of my 1031 exchange, where we weren't able to wrap that up, just like we talked about here, in span of a phone call. It's available, and the assets are available, and we can hit those 1031 deadlines for you. So glad for the question. Hopefully that answers a little bit more than just the question, but I think this is a perfect jumping off point for us to jump back into it.
Man. All right. So I re-highlighted all the properties in the portfolio generator.
Okay.
Right. I put in anonymous, since that was the first name on the Q&As, on the Q&A section. I put in 600K over here. Right. And now we go over here. We have all the properties that are cash flow positive, our internal rate of returns, initial total investments, positive net rental income. If we're going to choose them all, we're going to run out of money, right?
Yeah, we don't have that much.
We don't have that much money. You would need twice as much, right? So I guess, are we going to pick half of the properties here, GC?
Yeah, I'd say let's just go down the line. Let's follow that same exact criteria here. So I don't exactly know how many properties it's going to shake out to. Maybe let's choose the top, 12. All right. So Wyoming, right?
Yeah. Wyoming, 1149.
28th.
335.
All right.
Okay, so that was next would be
Dunmire.
58. Yeah, Dunmire, 1416 would make it there.
Okay.
That is this is going to be good podcasting.
There.
2 on Caroline Street.
Got you.
How
All
many
right,
do we
you
have?
go over there.
All right, cool.
Let's see where that shakes out. So
right.
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Cool.
7,
So Dunmire was one of them. I remember that.
6th Street.
6th Street.
Okay.
1416 6th Street.
Yep.
Okay.
Caroline's Court.
Both Carolines. Yep. 3, 4.
5th Street.
5th Street. 5.
28th and Wyoming.
28th. Here's Wyoming. 6. And where's 28th Street? 29th Street?
Nah, 28th.
Okay, I was way off.
There we go.
Here we go. All right. So now we come over here. Okay, we got 630,000.
Hey, what do we know?
Not too bad.
All right. So let's make sure we go through those criteria again. All right. We chose the assets that have the highest rate of return first. That's what guided us here. We had already, prior to doing this exercise, figured out as low as we could go from a down payment percentage in order to maximize the return. So we kind of a step forward there. Next, we're looking at cash flow, both monthly, column L.
Okay.
Which we're over $200 a month positive cash flow for each of these, which we love. And we're also looking at over the full 10 years of the horizon. Are we positively cash flowing? Absolutely.
Positively, we are.
We're going to put over $50,000 of positive cash flow, net monthly rental income into our pockets by investing in these properties here. The next is to make sure that it fits within the budget. And so, here we've got a total investment of 630,000. I don't remember. Was the number 600?
600K.
All right, 600. So what do we do here?
I think we're going to have to, I think the average investor would think we take one off, but the not your average investor, I would say, would look at this, would say, okay, I'm going to have a bunch of positive cash flow to begin with. So I could probably add some of these at negative cash flow and still have overall positive cash flow. Am I warm here? I see.
You're doing
look like a
so
proud
good.
like
You're doing so good.
Yeah. So which ones would I pick for that, GC?
Well,
Can we explain that concept? Why don't you just explain what I just said?
Yeah. So when we have a huge pile of cash flow, we need to start thinking of this as saying, yeah, that's really nice, but we need to understand the relationship. When you have a ton of cash flow, most likely you are not maximizing your return on investment, because the way to maximize your return on investment is to put as little down as possible. So we as financial engineers are constantly looking at this and saying, I understand I want to get to the maximum return on investment that I possibly can get. If I have a lot of cash flow, I'm actually going to look at putting less down, which limits my cash flow a little bit. But that makes a ton of sense if my rate of return is higher by doing that. So this tool allows us to mix and match and see what the highest combination that we can possibly see here.
Yeah.
So
what I would add to that is we generally don't recommend a negative cash flow property unless you have passive income that is overcoming that negative cash flow, right? So it's like, I think like calling that part out. Since we are going to create all this positive cash flow here, we can go negative in one of these to increase our rate of return.
Absolutely.
So what order do we just go in kind of like the most expensive one and drop that down to 20%? Is that what we would do?
No, what I'm going to look at is the highest net rental income. And I'm going to go there. I'm going to put 20% down there because ultimately I would love for each property to be as close to cash flow positive as possible. And so
5.13 return, we learned that last time, and 20%. Go back. We're getting closer.
We're getting closer.
Okay.
All right. Do we see, so our out of pocket is less, our net rental income is less, our rate of return is still the highest. Now, it doesn't always jack up your rate of return, significantly. Sometimes you see a couple of basis points that it'll bump up. I bet if we chose, let's go to.
Should we do one of the Carolines?
Yeah, let's do one of those.
Okay, so let's do one of the Carolines. Can't have all the Carolines at 20%. Here we go. 20%. I love how the chat is already making other formulas, right? Like Mike Foster saying you could also drop the 165K property and pick up two others for less, right?
There you go. And if we had probably more time, we would look at this, and because I think there's a number of combinations. We won't have time to do it all right here, but these are great ideas. I think largely you'd wind up with a total rate of return very similar to, call it 11.9 or 12%. But you can kind of mix and match around the properties. And as long as we are focused on rate of return first, doesn't really matter if we have, a property that has a little bit more cash flow or a little bit less cash flow. It doesn't really matter. Although swapping out one for two actually really is a good idea, because why?
Because now you're diversified.
Well, diversified, but think in terms of JWB Elite.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You could get to, once you get 5 properties in your portfolio, you drop a 1% on the management fee. When you get to 10 properties, you drop another percent on the management fee.
There you go. There's Mike Foster doing Mike Foster things right there.
Just a regular guy with extraordinary questions.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that might not be a bad idea right there.
So now we dropped that Caroline and we are down to 606, right? So now we're like really, really in the ballpark, right? So I would assume we would just keep doing this exercise on a sales call, keep engineering. We would run that simulation of like the other property. Maybe you pick up 2. Now you're, maybe you have 2 already that gets you to 10 or whatever, right?
Exactly.
And you just keep doing it. Seems pretty easy, man.
So there you go. Anonymous, a 10-day.
Yeah.
We can do it. We can handle the 1031 exchange. What I would suggest is to get on the phone with us now, because the last thing we want is for you to be excited about potentially doing this and then getting on the phone with us. with a very tight deadline. And the reason I say that is we can do all of this in the span of 15 minutes, like you've seen, but we don't want to start off a relationship that way. We want to start it off. We want to have a few weeks to get to know you, to go through I think the relationship building process on both ends. So go ahead, give us a call. Let's talk about what your plan is. And then as it gets closer to when you actually put your property for sale, we're going to be in the loop. We're going to be talking with you. We're going to be identifying these assets with you so you will have no problems as far as hitting your time deadlines.
And again, to hop on the phone, there is a couple easy ways to do it. Joanna, if you can share it in the chat, you can go to chatwithjwb.com and pick your own time to do it. You can call JWB at 904-677-6777, or you can just shoot a text right now, 904-293-0341, and they'll text you right back.
There you go.
Pretty good, GC. How'd you feel about that one, man?
Oh, it's great. I love it when we get a client or a community member that has a real world, problem or question that we can just really just kind of iterate live on the show. I mean, that's awesome.
I feel like we've unlocked a whole new level of like being able to iterate live on the show when people are feeling comfortable enough to ask those kinds of things, right? Yeah. Like it's always like it's a brave thing to bring your own perspective out there. And to me, as like the community guy, I feel like we've created this like safe space for people to bring their questions. So keep coming to the show, keep bringing questions. If Fortune Builders, if this is your first time coming, we do this every Tuesday. We teach different things every single week. What's going on next week, GC? Do you remember what's going on next week? It rhymes with Slyan Mayes.
Oh, we've got Brian Reyes.
Who's Brian Reyes? Who's Brian Reyes?
Brian Reyes is one of the biggest assets in the team that we have at JWB. He has been a guest on the show for I think a few times now. He is our CPA, and his accounting firm has handled our accounting since I can remember. Yeah. You want to talk to somebody who's an expert, not just in helping a medium-sized company like JWB maximize our tax advantages. He also is there to help you as an individual investor maximize your tax advantages. There's a lot of stuff that's been changing tax-wise this year, right?
Yeah. I call Brian the maven of tax bills, right? Like we bring him on. He doesn't come every year, but every time that there's a new tax bill in, he just like dives into it, cozies up with it at night. He just like lives it, dreams it, and then comes here and he's going to share the things that have changed, right? Around the bonus depreciation, around what's the other thing? When you use cost segregation, and a couple of other like cocktail party, interesting conversation things that you're going to be able to do. We had a really great prep call with him. He's got some zingers for you, some useful stuff and some make you feel cool stuff that I'm really pumped to get into. And Brian's just great, man. So I'm really pumped about that. GC, before we get off, Emily Green says in the chat, can we comment about the incentives? How do the incentives apply to everything that we were talking about just now?
Yes, absolutely. So these incentives that builders are offering are the same types of incentives you get on your JWB assets. So if we put it all together, and Emily, thank you so much for putting it all together here. When we're putting these assets, these portfolios together here, you're seeing incentive packages of between $10,000 to $15,000 per property. When you think about that type of a portfolio that we're putting together and the interest rates that we have right now, those interest rates, those 5% interest rates or lower than that, they are there because of the incentive packages. So the incentive dollars are there, and that's what allows you to get those lower interest rates. If we fast forward 3, 6, 9 months and builder sales start going up because it's the spring selling season and because interest rates go down, investors are going to get to the same place of 5% interest rates or something like that, but they're not going to have those incentive dollars that are offered to get there. So this is why right now is a special time, because you can put a portfolio together like our friend anonymous attendee who said that they have about 600,000. I think there's 6 properties that they could walk into right now.
Yeah.
If it's $15,000 per property, that's $90,000 of incentives they can walk into day one with their portfolio. So that's a special, anomaly in the market right now that you could take advantage of as a turnkey investor. And it's all about interest rates. It's about interest rates. As they're coming down, you're going to see builder sales go up, and then you're going to see less incentive dollars. And so that's why it's a special time.
Good stuff, GC. Yeah, it sounds like just free money to take advantage of.
Well, it's needed right now. It's needed right now because you need it for some positive cash flow.
Sure, but like if I wait for like Q1 and that's not there, I still have the same rate of return or whatever. It's just kind of like money in my pocket, right? It's like that scene in Good Will Hunting where he is being auditioned for a job. Like everybody's trying to like hire him, and he's like, I'd feel really good if I could just walk out of here with $100 in my pocket right now, right? It's just that, right? Like it's just you're walking away with money in your pocket day one.
It's money in your pocket if that's best for you. It can be used to buy down your rate if that's best for you. It can be used to fund your maintenance escrows, which is going to keep you in the game happy and healthy to make sure that you're successful here. It's all of these great things. Fast forward, you're still going to need to fund your escrows, $5,000 a property or, up to $15,000 in the future. It's just not going to be done for you. You're going to actually have to use your own money to do that in the future. So, and that's why this special, this moment is special, as we haven't really felt the effect of low interest rates in the builder community yet.
Yeah. So thanks for bringing that up, Emily. So this is all comes with 10 to 15K of incentives per property that you can take advantage of right now. If you go to chatwithjwb.com and pick a time to talk to us, or call 904-677-6777 or text 904-293-0341. Last question, also from anonymous attendee. When will we get a date for the summit? Save the date for the JWB summit. GC, what do you say?
Gosh, you know what? Were we supposed to announce that at the beginning of the show today?
I know I have a save the date on my calendar.
Well, we're going to announce it even going forward here. We do have dates for the summit.
Oh, hey,
we do.
We're breaking to save the date for the summit right now.
We're just, we keep it till the end just to make sure that those folks that stick around to the end get the special sauce there.
Yeah.
February 19th to February 21st, 2026 will be the next Not Your Average Investor Summit here in Jacksonville. Super pumped.
Yeah.
For those, we only limit it to clients.
The MVP is going to be there.
Yeah. Of course, the MVP is going to be there. Like, everybody who's on the call is pretty much going to be there. You guys got to be there. If you haven't been there before, just talk to somebody in the chat. They'll tell you all.
It's the best.
Now it is limited just to JWB clients. We did this last year, and I just think it made the event even more special. It was just a room of trust and camaraderie and everybody moving in the same direction. So we're making the decision to do that as well. I don't know what we're going to limit the attendance to.
I don't think you have to pay more, GC. I think we just said save the date. The rest will trickle out. Be a marketer, for crying out loud.
I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do.
17th to 21st, save the date. This is only for the insiders that stay till the end of this call.
Yeah, but I got something special to say too. We are going to have it at the new JWB office.
Oh,
I talked to my team. We're just going to be like moving in like the day before JWB is actually going to like be moving into. But we are going to be having our summit inside the new JWB. Yeah, we're gonna make it happen. So, that's what my team told me. I said, "Can I go live with it?" They said yes. So we're gonna put the pressure on them to make sure that the building is done. We're moving our JWB headquarters to downtown Jacksonville to solidify our message of how much we believe in downtown Jacksonville, and the building is going to be beautiful, and we're going to kind of unveil it here for the Not Your Average Investor Summit. So,
okay, Lee, MVP, I need you to share that message in the secret WhatsApp chat that we all share, right? Because I'm going to forget. Yeah. So just let them know in the chat, because I know everybody wants to save that date, February 19th to 21st, or Drew, you can do it also. You're in that chat. Put it in there. It's going to be in the JWB offices. I just found that out. I'm pretty pumped about that. I also have one other thing to say. That is for JWB investors only, and people that come back, and it's going to be awesome. You're going to be great. If you are in Northern California and you don't have to be a JWB investor, but you want to meet JWB investors and you want to hang out with the Not Your Average Investor community, there is a Northern California meetup hosted by the fairy godmother, Jen Filson herself. It is on Saturday, November 15th, this week at 4 p.m., BJ's Restaurant and Brew House in Cupertino, California. That's 10690 North De Anza Boulevard in Cupertino, California. BJ's Restaurant and Brew House, November 15th, this weekend, 4 p.m., 2025, Saturday with Jen Filson.
Love it.
All right, GC, that was a big end of the show there.
How about that?
A lot of fireworks.
There we go.
Save the date, meet up in Northern California. Brian Reyes coming to the show next week. If you want to get the latest deets on the tax bill, Drew Barnhill said it in the chat himself. Big tax changes this year, right? So you want to be a part of that. And any other pieces of advice until then, GC?